we'll start off with 91 Days because I think out of all of them, I think it's the one I probably enjoyed the most. So it takes place in America during the time of Prohibition, and it's basically about the main character who's trying to get revenge on one of the main gang families for murdering his families in the first episode. So it goes through this, I wouldn't say it's elaborate, but it's basically him getting close to the family by any means necessary type deal. So he starts becoming friends with the next in line to become a Don in that family. And he just starts kind of manipulating things behind the scenes that kind of makes all of their plans fall apart. And what the main families are trying to do is just try to keep peace. And what he does is just keep stirring up the bee's nest between all of them. And it just kind of keeps progressing and progressing and progressing. And as it progresses, you can tell it's taking its toll on all of the characters. So it's not just the main character. It's all of the kind of important characters of the show. Everybody's becoming a little bit more paranoid, becoming a little bit more stressed out, and all of their actions actually take effect on the character. So they do a good job in developing it as all of these things starts happening. And all the way up to the ending, man, it just kind of keeps you guessing because you don't really see what's coming next because you don't really expect it. So, of course, a lot of the characters die. A lot of the characters you don't think are going to die, and they die in ways that you hate because you don't want them to die like that.
Yeah.
And they just do a good job. They just did a good job all the way up until the end. So
I feel like I appreciated it because the way that the main character took care of what he needed to take care of was in a very calculated way. So if something happened to one character, somebody else would have been like, oh no, why would you do that? And then it would be revealed soon enough that he meant to do that because this was going to cause chaos somewhere else. So not only was he physically hurting somebody, he was mentally messing up another family, another mafia family or something. Mm-hmm. So it was very calculated, very smart. And I really appreciated that. Yeah.
You can tell they really took their time to think about how the story is going to play out. And it wasn't just kind of put together and things weren't forgotten throughout the story. Everything happened for a reason. And it was really good. Mm-hmm. It really had me excited about the next episode because I really didn't know what would happen. It was very suspenseful. And yeah, I recommend it. I highly recommend it.
Right.
I tried watching this one. I think I watched I want to say either 6 or 7 episodes into it, and it's a story that is not new. There's been many iterations of this sort of revenge and being very calculating as far as taking your end. It's not just a simple I'm just going to kill whoever it was that was responsible for it. No, it's I'm going to kill everyone that's responsible for it, and I'm going to mess everything up that they held dear that caused whoever they killed of mine to have to die. And that's what I saw in it. He was very much so just going through and just, making sure everywhere he's okay, this person was connected, this person was responsible, this person had, motive, this person knew about it. It was boom, boom, boom. He didn't leave any loose ends. Yeah. Nothing was ever, left up to guesswork. It was always, it's very much in a realistic sense. And part of me appreciates that, but I think, I think Big D can attest to this in some of the animes we've watched in the past and how I've kind of left some of them to him more times than not. I tried with this one, but the realism that was involved in it, I think was just one of those where even though I enjoyed it, it was kind of just because it's not necessarily the reason why I watch anime in a lot of the ways, which is a little counterproductive in some sense. I guess I'm a little hypocritical because I do enjoy shows like TacoYaki, where it's about, cooking food, which is obviously very realistic in its own way. But I think there again, I think the styling behind that, and we'll get to that later, was very much different, which allowed it to have that sort of surreal feel to it. So it didn't come off like that 91 days is very gritty and very realistic. And that I almost wish that the people who did 91 days, because of how they did it and how they made it look, did Berserk. I think if they had done Berserk, it would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Because I think there is something that needs that gritty and just realistic. So that way, like every sword slash that you see Guts do would have been that much more impactful. Because every time somebody died in there, it was very impactful because of how realistic everything looked and felt, and it just had that connection with you. But for me, it's just, again, that sort of thing I usually don't look for in animes, and it tends to kind of bore me, which is why I was like, as interesting as it may be, I just couldn't keep up with it.
See, I think that's what kept me drawn in, because it wasn't like it was just some kind of random occurrence where a bird happened to fly in and it screwed up the plan. It was, everything was written out in a way where you can see it happening, and it wasn't just some random act that threw everything off. Everything, his plans, as well as like how all the other families would move according to what was going on, you can really see happening. So, and I think that's why I appreciated it so much more, because it wasn't just in this episode something else random happened or this other random thing happened and it just kept throwing off his plans. So it all tied together really well. And that's what I appreciated the most out of it. And that's why I kept watching it. Just, it was something different for me. It wasn't. And
I'll get to one later on when I get to mine, and that's kind of similar. But Big D, you got anything else on that one?
Yes. Like everybody has said, I loved how calculated the main character was. I loved how his plans went through successfully for the most part.
Yeah.
And if he ran into any roadblocks, he would always have like a backup solution for it. And it was kind of weird because let's see, there was a time skip of about 7 years after he lost his parents and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if they explained what he was doing in the meantime, but well, actually, I think his landlord in that other city said that she told one of the people that was staying with him at the time to be careful about him, because she knows that he doesn't have like a reliable job, but he always has tons of money. So she's like, he's kind of shady. You got to watch out for him. And I thought it was kind of cute for them to add like a little bit of character, like telling what, like his background, like what he's been doing over the last 7 years without actually showing any of it, just like an offhand comment from his landlord. Mm-hmm. And then for all of a sudden, when he gets that letter from that one guy, for him to be like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing next. Yeah. And then it just heads right over into it. And it's I think I really like how he built up the relationships with all the people, especially like with Nero, because they were buddy through a lot of the show, like at the beginning and at the end. And there were some parts where I'm like, is he scheming something, or is he like, did he just give up? I'm like, what's going on? Everything's kind of off right now. And then then all of a sudden the mode switches, like, oh, okay, that's what he was doing. So
see, and when they do that, it makes you feel even worse about when he actually succeeds with certain parts of his plans, because you get attached to the characters, because they actually make you think like, oh, they're friends, everything's gonna be fine, and then he just like, turns around and is like, nah, it was
he's like, if this one incident, if this one. Like with a lot of people, with a lot of like stories where they're anime, live action movies and all that kind of stuff, where the two characters like, if we met at another time, we could have been friends or something like that. And I love how you can see that without them actually saying it like they do in some movies.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, it's probably stereotypical to say like the main character was my favorite character, but I don't know. I like they showed his flaws. They showed his how conniving and like calculated he was.
Yeah.
And I just love the show overall.
Yeah.
It's you had to make a lot of hard choices, and it was just great.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to give too much away in case somebody hasn't seen it, but towards the end, it definitely becomes a lot more difficult, especially the one scene where with his brother towards the end, where he has to make that decision. I was like, that wasn't. I was kind of hoping it would do that typical anime thing where he's like, I got a plan to get us out of here, and then he does some elaborate thing through the window, and he has like an escape car waiting, and he doesn't. And and I think that's what makes the anime so brilliant, is that it doesn't take the cheesy way out and make a happy ending.
Yeah, I with that scene, I'll try not to say too much. Also, you can tell that he's running out of options.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, finally everything's settled, and all I have to do is focus on this. And if I can handle this, then I can finally make it past this step to get to where I want to get to. And then this wrench just comes flying into the situation, and I'm like, no! No! And then he explains it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But I love this show.
It's the exact reaction that I had to.
Yeah.
The exact reaction.
The hopeful part of me was just like, please have an elaborate plan. Please. No. No.
This whole time I've been building a trapdoor underneath the mansion.
Right.
Just in case this happened.
But yeah, I would say I highly recommend the show. If you're looking for like a realistic style anime, then this is one that's very, very well done.
Yes. I agree.
So I was like, I'm still at the good part, so.
Okay. Well, let me save you some time.
Yeah.
You can move on to other ones. Trust me.
Like the fights, like you said, don't have that impactfulness because it's not as clean with the CG animation.
Mm-hmm.
Story-wise was pretty good. Aside from that ending where it just kind of just throws you for a loop. But I don't know. If the animation doesn't bother you, I'd say you can get through it and be entertained for the most part.